Hello, my name is Declan Hamblin and I work for Kingston University in teacher education. This presentation is based upon the work over the last 4 years by the team at Kingston University involved in teacher education, specifically PE. Whilst I may claim responsibility for the use of the jigsaw puzzle, I cannot claim responsibility for all the thought or graphics in this presentation, which is based upon an article written with Alex Becky, published recently in the Chartered College of Teaching Impact magazine. In this short presentation, I will share with you how we are trying to use the metaphor of a jigsaw puzzle to model how we teach and teach others to think and act like a teacher. Learning to teach is a complex undertaking. The novice has already accumulated thousands of hours of experience before they begin. This acculturation contributes to confusion, as being taught is not the same as teaching. It does not provide a sound understanding why teaching might look and feel the way it does. In physical education, this complexity and confusion is further intensified as it is a low consensus and highly contested curriculum subject, with very little agreement on both the aims and the means. Blackoff and Johnson suggest metaphors are the way we conceptualize and understand our experiences, allowing us to share them with others. Metaphors can act as bridges between a concrete and abstract experience it is trying to describe. Using the metaphor of a jigsaw puzzle can help us to make sense of the messiness that is inherent in learning to teach PE. Constructing and aligning beliefs, values, and actions in a coherent way is needed for effective teaching. It is a continuous and puzzling process which the metaphor of a jigsaw can assist with. The frame relates to our philosophical stance, the values, beliefs, and intentions one has regarding teaching and learning, what education, teaching, and learning is for, and what it is for which shapes the teacher's daily practice. From our experience, the frames student teachers arrive with are often aligned to their own personal experience of PE. The role of the teacher educator is to help the student teacher explore their frame, reflect upon it, challenge it, and help them adjust it where necessary. Then we have the big picture, which states our purpose for the subject. Having a clear idea of the purpose of PE and articulating it is a key step in learning to teach PE, as you can then begin to work backwards from what you are trying to achieve. Even when a purpose is provided, like the national curriculum for PE, there are multiple and competing aims, such as developing competency, health promotion, excellence in sporting competition, and increasing physical activity levels. Teachers need to be able to justify and describe their purpose. Without it, the goals for PE cannot be shared and the curriculum is misaligned, resulting in ambiguity. There are numerous puzzle pieces at the beginning for student teachers. Firstly, we need to help by classifying and exemplifying the pieces. It is not just about becoming competent at each of the pieces, but also aligning them and fitting them together in a manner that contributes to a coherent bigger picture, whilst meeting the needs of both the student teacher and their pupils. We can either offer our own pieces to be tried and tested then adapted, or we can support student teachers to craft their own through modelling, imitation, reflection, tweaking, and then repeating the process. In the process of fitting those pieces together, some just fit, others need some trial and error to fit, and others there is a realization that the piece is from a completely different jigsaw puzzle. A key challenge for teacher educators is to ensure the student teacher does not become so focused on the individual pieces that they forget about the overall aim they are working towards. Learning to teach requires keeping one eye on the pieces and one eye on the picture. Coherence is when our values, beliefs, and vision and practices align. Then what we are doing in PE and how we are doing it align to the clear purpose of PE. Modelling is a strategy that can be used by experts to exemplify practices to novices, so that they can imitate and use it in their own practice. We use it to scaffold, critique, and interrogate practice both within university and placement. In tandem with the jigsaw puzzle as a metaphor in learning to teach, we also provide a model jigsaw puzzle. The model provides an insight into the thinking and decision-making needed to develop a coherent and aligned picture. Not necessarily as something for the student teachers to copy and paste into their own practice, but as a model to compare with what they observe and do themselves in school. By offering a jigsaw puzzle model, we can collectively interrogate teaching practices and all the challenges that accompany. Coherent teacher requires your vision, values, and beliefs and practices to align. If we draw upon Dewey and Fletcher et al. And use our meaningful PE, use meaningful physical education as our filter for making judgment, then we believe education is about growth, teaching is a continuous act of decision making on the whys, whats and hows of education, and learning is about making sense and creating understanding from experiences. We do not see the child as an empty vessel, but one that has rights and strengths to be heard and shared. This then leads to a vision in the center of the diagram of physical education where meaningfulness is the priority when making decisions. And therefore, the key practices of meaningful PE critical features allow us to achieve that vision, as can be seen in the puzzle pieces. There are, of course, other visions, such as PE is about finding a sport to love that may have a frame suggesting that education is about qualification, teaching is telling, and learning is about accurate replication, with the child as an empty vessel. The puzzle pieces that attribute to this approach and vision would be things, for example, like sport techniques, traditional team sport, character building, and moderate to vigorous physical activity aims. Our model uses the meaningful physical education framework that prioritizes meaningfulness and personal significance. It provides a shared language for which student, teachers, and children can make sense of movement experiences, their likes and dislikes in the present, good and bad experiences in the past, and their hopes and fears about the role of movement in the future and how it may enrich the quality of their lives. Meaningful PE is a filter for making professional judgments and decisions on what we believe to be key practices that align and make the program and curriculum coherent. In addition, we use the filter of meaningful PE to identify key pedagogical practices too. We use it as it goes against the dominant practice, which we see being used in schools, which has been said to not meet the needs of pupils. Plus, it articulates a clear picture for the purpose of PE. In addition, it offers up several puzzle pieces for the teacher to adapt to their own context, as can be seen from the diagram. By utilizing a model puzzle, it emboldens us as teacher educators to teach in the ways we are encouraging our students to teach. But critically, it provides a means to share our thought processes and decision making with them. This allows student teachers to understand how teaching is different to being taught and enable them to participate in discussion and critique of the professional judgments and decisions required for effective teaching. We ensure student teachers receive their entitlement to the core content framework, but we have been ambitious to design a program that is based upon our beliefs, which have informed the pedagogical practices we share. There are, of course, core content framework topics which sit outside our puzzle that are covered in our core professional studies program. Whilst our focus is on our puzzle, we do teach in other ways. For example, an instructional approach to teaching athletics, which allows students to compare and contrast and then challenge, debate and justify which approach they will teach and use to teach the topic of athletics. If we take the Understanding Your Learners piece and explain what that looks like on our course, it may help to further your understanding. Our main puzzle pieces all have a puzzle of their own, which identifies the links to the core content framework, teacher standards, and key text to draw upon for that piece. With this piece, we have sessions, for example, that look at gender, race, sexuality, and children looked after. We will then query during other sessions what we need to do to consider about the individual when planning, teaching, and assessing, talking out loud our decision making in sessions, helping student teachers understand our decision making at multiple levels. Our puzzle helps to scaffold and model the challenges Kennedy describes. Student teachers arrive on the course with much of their puzzle filled in based upon their experience of being taught PE. The metaphor allows us to explore and challenge that, what their frame of reference is, what's their big picture they're working towards, which pieces they need to complete the picture, and how they align them together in a coherent way for themselves and their pupils. We hope the assembling of their puzzle will continue throughout their career as the questions are important and a definitive answer may never be found. Therefore, we see this as an ongoing process of refinement and adaptation. Whilst we draw upon academic literature to inform our thinking, it is our own thinking, which is still in the process of being refined, and we would welcome any critiques and suggestions. Our thinking is shaped by both seeing teaching as a highly complex judgment and decision-making process from the big picture to the in-the-moment lesson decisions. Making professional knowledge clear, accessible, and understandable is essential for teacher educators to support novice teachers in learning how to teach. Using metaphors and models as conceptual devices is one way of making sense of the complexities and confusion that surround learning to teach. The reference for the paper which this presentation is based upon is on the screen. And if you wish to get in touch, then please do so at the links that are shared there as well. Thank you.